Sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old men, the young in one another's arms, birds in trees, those dying generations at their song, the salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas, fish, flesh, or fowl commend all summer long. Whatever is begotten, born, and dies, caught in that sensual music, all neglect, monuments of unaging intellect. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress. Nor is there singing school, but studying monuments of its own magnificence. And therefore I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. O sages standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic on a wall, come from the holy fire, Pern and Gyre, and be the singing master of my soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fasten to a dying animal. It knows not what it is. Gather me into the artifice of eternity. Once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make, of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake, or set upon a golden bough to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past, or passing, or to come.
Ideal and Reality by Joseph Campbell. Written during the Civil War from inside Kilmainham Jail, where the poet, a prisoner of the Free State, dreamed of a world outside. I thirst for violins, as drunkards thirst for wine. I hunger for plain verse, cold served in ordinaries where poor bards foregather, or heaped on plates of gold in theaters. I'd give these living eyes to see the Sphinx, the sun-bleached columns of the Parthenon, the doves about the lion at San Mark, Angelo's frescoes, Goya's canvases. Yet here am I, murdered in a prison cell. No picture seen save what obscenities old lags have drawn with dirt on whitewashed brick to satisfy desire, or hieroglyphics of some field-bred, jail-sick Republican telling his tale of days for a bombed throne. No clustered shaft, no pointed arch, no dome dim with Byzantine color, no Greek frieze, great in its unashamed simplicity. Only the meanness of 4 narrow walls and dirty window. Prophet-like, I walk the oaken floor, a desert of dry sand, searching for amber honeycombs of verse, for crystal pools of muted violins, and find no treasure. What thing comes to me but harsh discordance? On a basement crane, the steel chain rasps. A porridge tray is slammed. The landing sentry clicks his rifle bolt to keep his wits awake. Nail-booted feet batter a Munster hornpipe overhead, someone endlessly calling in a strident, snuffing Meath Street voice for Johnny Pigeon, until a tyrannized ear rebels and curses Johnny Pigeon's name. The sweepers sweep the compound. Buckets clink A new mouth organ plays an ancient waltz, and master of a school of minor notes, the tap-tap of the ringmaker is heard, beating his penny in a distant wing.
The hosting of the Sidhe. Now, for those of you who don't recall, the Sidhe uh, are the fairies of Western Ireland who inhabit the entire western coast of Ireland. And they are wood sprites, fairies, if you will, um, small deities, and they are always small people. And however, they are believed to be present in Western Ireland, and they are always most present at the time of the leaves whirl, at the time of the fall, which coincides with Samhain, our feast of Halloween. And so this is why I've chosen these, because they're a favorite of mine. And you can hear the actual cadence in both pieces of poetry. Yeats was very good at establishing a rhythm in his poetry. And he did it in many pieces, but nowhere better, I think, than in these two poems. So the hosting of the Sidhe. The host is riding from Knockanree over the grave of Cluth na Bear, Celta tossing his burning hair and Niamh crying, away, come away. The winds awaken, empty your heart of its mortal dream. The winds awaken, the leaves whirl round. Our cheeks are pale, our hair is unbound. Our breasts are heaving, our eyes are agleam. Our arms are waving, our lips are apart. And if any gaze on our rushing band, we come between him and the deed of his hand. We come between him and the hope of his heart. The host is rushing twixt night and day, and where is their hope or deed is fair? Celta tossing his burning hair and Niamh calling, away, come away.
First, a shout out to the Irish fishermen who so bravely cleared the waters of problems in the west of Ireland a few weeks ago. Brilliant. The poem I'm going to read is by Seamus Heaney. He needs no introduction to anybody here or who will be seeing this, so I won't go into that. This was written toward the end of his life. He and his wife decided to take a little trip to the west to County Clare. And of course, having seen so much beauty, he had to write a poem. I know this session is supposed to be about hardship and coming out of hardship, but even in the midst of hardship and also as a reward after hardship, the beauty of Ireland and taking in the beauty of Ireland is just a dessert to life. This poem is called Postscript by Seamus Heaney. And sometime, make the time to drive out west into County Clare, along the flaggy shore in September or October, when the wind and the light are working off each other, so that the ocean on one side is wild with foam and glitter. And inland among stones, the surface of a slate gray lake is lit by the earth lightning of a flock of swans, their feathers ruffed and ruffling, white on white, their fully grown, headstrong looking heads tucked or cresting, or busy underwater. Useless to think you'll park and capture it more thoroughly. You are neither here nor there. A hurry through which known and strange things pass, as big, soft buffetings come at the car sideways and catch the heart off guard and blow it open.
Well, this is a poem called Bogland by Seamus Heaney. We have no prairies to slice a big sun at evening. Everywhere the eye concedes to encroaching horizon is wooed into the cyclops eye of a tarn. Our unfenced country is bog that keeps crusting between the sights of the sun. They've taken the skeleton of the great Irish elk out of the peat, set it up, an astounding crate full of air. Butter sunk under more than 100 years was recovered salty and white. The ground itself is kind black butter, melting and opening underfoot, missing its last definition by millions of years. They'll never dig coal here, only the waterlogged trunks of great firs, soft as pulp. Our pioneers keep striking inwards and downwards. Every layer they strip seems camped on before. The bog holes might be Atlantic seepage. The wet center is bottomless.
The second poem I have is definitely speaks to hope and hardship, probably more hardship than hope, but both. It's the poem A Lament for Kilcash, Cuina Kilcash. The particular version that I'm going to read is a translation from the Irish by Frank O'Connor. Kilcash. What shall we do for timber? The last of the woods is down. Kilcash and the house of its glory and the bell of the house are gone. The spot where that lady waited that shamed all others for grace. When earls came sailing to greet her and the sweet mass was said in that place. My grief and my affliction, your gates are taken away. Your avenue needs attention. Goats in the garden stray. The courtyards filled with water, and the great earls, where are they? The earls, the lady, the people, beaten into the clay. Nor the sound of ducks nor of geese there, hawk's cry or eagle's call, nor the humming of the bees there that brought honey and wax for all, nor the sweet song of the birds there when the sun has gone down to the west, nor a cuckoo atop of the boughs there, singing the world to rest. There's a mist there falling from branches, unstirred by night and by day, and a darkness falling from heaven, and our fortunes have ebbed away. There's no holly, nor hazel, nor ash there, but pastures of rock and stone. The crown of the forest is withered, and the last of its game is gone. I beseech of Mary and Jesus that the great come home once again, with long dances danced in the garden, fiddle music and mirth among men. That Kilcash, the home of our fathers, be returned on high once again, and from that till the deluge of waters, in bounty and peace remain.
So the poem that I'm going to read to you today is by the wonderful Evan Boland. Evan Boland was born in Dublin in 1944, and when she was 6, her father was appointed the Irish ambassador to the UK, and so the family moved to London. And that was a really hard time for her. She was lonely and she felt kind of like an outsider, and experienced anti-Irish sentiment for the first time in her life. And it was a very formative experience for her, and she refers to it in many of her poems, including this one that I'm going to read to you today. She moved back to Ireland when she was 14 and ended up graduating from Trinity College and in Dublin. And she taught in Ireland and in the United States. And if you're not familiar with her, she's amazing. She only died a couple years ago, but you should definitely look her up if you're not familiar. In this poem, Boland references the Greek myth of Persephone and Demeter. And I just wanted to point out that she uses the Roman name for Demeter, which is Ceres, and but still the Greek name for Persephone. So I just wanted to point that out if you were familiar with that myth and were confused by the terminology. And in terms of the theme of hope and hardship, I think this is a really good poem because it deals with the desire of a mother to protect her child from the hardships of life. But she makes a point that there's a certain beauty in hardship because, you know, the struggle and the hardships in life really define and clarify, they give shape and meaning to those moments of happiness and hope. It's almost like they require each other. And there's beauty in that balance. And the full experience of being alive is in that balance. And so I think it's a really appropriate poem for that theme. The Pomegranate by Evan Boland. The only legend I have ever loved is the story of a daughter lost in hell and found and rescued there. Love and blackmail are the gist of it, Ceres and Persephone, the names. And the best thing about the legend is I can enter it anywhere, and have. As a child in exile in a city of fogs and strange consonants, I read it first, and at first I was an exiled child in the crackling dusk of the underworld, the stars blighted. Later, I walked out in a summer twilight, searching for my daughter at bedtime. When she came running, I was ready to make any bargain to keep her. I carried her back past white beams and wasps and honey-scented buddleias. But I was Ceres then, and I knew winter was in store for every leaf on every tree on that road, was inescapable for each one we passed, and for me. It is winter, and the stars are hidden. I climb the stairs and stand where I can see my child asleep beside her teen magazines, her can of Coke, her plate of uncut fruit. The pomegranate, how did I forget it? She could have come home and been safe and ended the story and all our heartbroken searching, but she reached out a hand and plucked a pomegranate. She put out her hand and pulled down the French sound for apple and the noise of stone and the proof that even in the place of death, at the heart of legend, in the midst of rocks full of unshed tears, ready to be diamonds by the time the story was told, a child can be hungry. I could warn her. There is still a chance. The rain is cold. The road is flint colored. The suburb has cars and cable television. The veiled stars are above ground. It is another world. But what else can a mother give her daughter but such beautiful rifts in time? If I defer the grief, I will diminish the gift. The legend will be hers as well as mine. She will enter it as I have. She will wake up. She will hold the papery, flushed skin in her hand and to her lips. I will say nothing.